Well, good afternoon. Obviously, we're real excited about the win on Saturday. Hard-fought game in a really tough environment, and another four-quarter affair for us, and that's kind of the nature of the Valley Conference, as we all know, and anybody can beat anybody, and you have to play exceptionally well for 60 minutes to give yourself a chance. And our guys played hard. We made some mistakes. We're going to still try to correct some things, but they played really hard. We played really physical. I was pleased with us being able to rush the football for 200-plus yards and be able to shut down their run was important. But moving forward, we need to be a little bit better. Obviously, in the fourth quarter offensively, part of that was our field position, which kind of leads me to the next phase. We need to be better on special teams. I thought Jackson Kuntz was dynamite, but we weren't very good on kick cover. And have the one that Ty did a nice job on the one before, but we can't have a mistake and be inside of our 5. That really puts our offense in a tough spot. So with that being said, we'll meet with the guys today, go through the film, and begin our preparation for an extremely talented Youngstown State team that we know how much ability they have and how good a football team they have. They've proven that out, and we'll see how we do with these guys at our place. So open up for questions.
Coach, what do you know about King Frazier? Anything yet?
The x-rays were normal, so there was no fracture, which is good. So now I think it's going to be progressed to see if it's more cartilage, how long will that be, and that's what we believe it is. And right now we're kind of hopeful, but we'll probably not know till Wednesday.
If he can't go, any update on Damaris or Bruce?
Bruce probably another week. Damaris, we're hopeful, but we'll see how he runs around the next few days.
Chris, you mentioned special teams, specifically coverage.
Yeah.
Will you do any personnel changes there to try to shore that out?
Well, we'll look at that for sure. There's some guys that when we have a home game, provides us at least an opportunity to give some more guys a look. We're going to put a big emphasis on it today in practice, as well as Tuesday and Wednesday, to see if can Merck do some of those things. Can we get Aaron? We hope to have him back this week. We hope to have Polanski back this week, more full speed. Daniel practiced last week, but we hope to have him back. I'm hopeful maybe Perk can do some things at least on kickoff and stuff, and depends on the cast and so forth. But it's no question we have to be better than we were on Saturday.
What do you expect out of Youngstown as far as a quarterback, who to play? Any ideas there?
No, I really don't. We looked at I think number 12 Davis in a few games, and obviously we're familiar with Wells from last year, and then he played against Indiana State. They run a lot of the same sets and things, but just the ability of the quarterback to carry the football is quite a bit different between the two guys, and so we'll have to do what we did last week, and be able to be prepared for two guys that can do kind of different things.
You've had some penalty issues, I think, at times, and what do you do to address those? And is that a concern at this time of the year?
Well, the holding penalties are obviously, all the penalties are a concern, but the aggressive penalties I can live with. It's the false starts and those things that you need to try to eliminate. You can say some of it's the noise, but in the same respect, I didn't think there was a whole lot of noise at Western Illinois, and we had a couple of them, and we just have to be able to clean those up. I think Jalen Allison's was an aggressive play, going for a ball on a deep ball. I'm okay with that. I think Zach Johnson has to get his hands inside one time, and the other time was maybe a 50-50 call. But those aggressive plays are always going to happen. It's the before the snap plays of false starts and offsides that we have to make sure and get squared away.
Seems like Jalen Allison has followed the opposing team's top receiver the last 3 weeks. Have you noticed an elevation in his play since you've asked him to kind of be that #1 corner?
Yeah, he's played really well. We're really pleased. I don't think Fountain had a catch on Saturday, and Jalen was with him the entire time, and He did a nice job on Lenore when we played man. We played a lot more zone against Western Illinois. And I even thought he did a really nice job on Weineke, who we know is a really good player. So Jalen's playing with a lot more confidence. He's learning from his mistakes, and each game snap and game rep he gets, I think his level of play increases, and we're counting on him heading down the stretch to be that shutdown guy.
Is Wimbush going to play on Saturday?
I would believe so, but I'll know probably more on Wednesday.
Is this the best, Chris? I mean, you look at defensively in terms of physicality and the speed they have, and the linebackers and secondaries. Is this the biggest challenge you've faced in a while?
Well, it's a great challenge, and everybody talks about their defensive ends, and they're great players. I'm really impressed with their front seven, but I think the thing that sets them apart is their ability to play lockdown man coverage, which allows the guys up front to maybe have a little bit more time to get home to the quarterback and to try to stop the run. But make no mistake, we know we're going to see man coverage, whether it's on the outside, in the slot, tight ends. Everybody's going to have to be able to win a one-on-one matchup because they do it as well as anybody, and they have a great system. Some things that we thought we could do against them last year, they had great counters for, so we have to have a different plan than we did last year. Because Coach Pelini knows what he wants out of his defensive system, and they're another year into that system with a lot of veteran guys. And so, as good as they are stopping the run and stuff, I still think it all starts with the ability to shut down people at corner.
Why has Martin Ruiz been so good for them?
Boy, he's played a long time, and he's a powerful running back. But he can make you miss. He has great speed. I'm so impressed with both guys. I'll be glad after this year's over with and don't have to face Ruiz and Webb, because it seems like they've been around an awful long time and have been very productive players. And we couldn't tackle Webb last year at all. And so we have to do a much better job in space on really all their backs, or both their backs. But really impressed with both guys. They're great players.
Are they the most talented team in the league, top to bottom, you think? They're in the conversation?
Yeah, they're in the conversation for sure. They have a veteran defense and a lot of offensive linemen that are returning, and I think they have really good skill. We know how good the running backs are. I like the length and the speed of some of their wide receivers. I know they've been kind of rotating the quarterback position, which is obviously a critical factor in your success, is how your quarterback plays. And I know they've had some injuries there, and trying to just settle in on one, and I don't know if they'll be able to do that, and we may play both or see both guys.
As far as your quarterback's concerned, a few more turnovers in the last 2 games than the rest of the season. Is that something you're focusing on moving forward, or just kind of growing pains of a young quarterback?
Well, probably a little bit of both, in the fact that we don't expect, and nor does Easton expect, to make a couple of mistakes that he has made. Being that he's played 15 games now, or however many it is, I can't even recall. But Easton needs to play a little bit better. We need to play better around him. We need to have better protection at times, run some better routes and stuff at times. And the coaching staff has a ton of confidence in Easton, and Easton has a ton of confidence in himself, and it's something that we need to continue to work on in general is our pass game.
Do you get involved in those conversations? Do you talk to Easton throughout the week about that kind of stuff, or do you leave it to Randy? Do you leave it to Tim? Well,
all the schematic stuff I leave to those guys. That's their expertise, and that's what we hired them for. But just mentally, psychologically, I really enjoy talking to the quarterbacks, because I understand the pressure they put on themselves to be successful, and as your quarterback goes, a lot of times so does your offense, and doesn't matter what level of football. You can look at it on Sundays as well, but I just want Easton to know that I have a ton of confidence in him. The team has a ton of confidence in him, and he's making some really good plays and missing on a couple, but I know this, nobody works harder than Easton to try to make sure that he is perfect on Saturday, and sometimes that may be to a fault because he tries to be too perfect. But I'm never going to take that away from him because I love the way the kid prepares every week.
Did I see Zemer, it sounds like, and young Zach played some? Was that unusual, or they play more?
Well, Zemer came in because Big Zach went out for a few plays, if not, most a few plays. But we made a conscious effort to put young Zach in there and spell Connor a little bit. He played maybe a dozen or so plays. He has tremendous upside, somebody that we really think is going to be an excellent player, and we need to get him some game reps. And it was something that we talked about early last week, that for us to continue to push him and push the program forward, we needed to give him some repetition, and he did a nice job. He got beat by Schultz one time, but Carter Schultz, one of the best defensive ends in the league, but he held his own and did some really good things, and I know that's going to make him better moving forward. We still have a lot of football left, and we're going to need young Zach to be a big part of that.
You mentioned young Zach, and you mentioned earlier in the season how playing those close non-conference games maybe didn't stress your depth as much as you'd like. Where is your depth at? You had a couple guys nicked up in Northern Iowa. Where's your depth at as far as where you'd like it to be?
Well, it's never where you want it to be. You always want more guys. Probably the area that we are do have some depth is in the offensive line, and that's why we wanted to play young Zach and even Volson. If we'd lost Big Zach for a long period, maybe you'd have seen Kunert move over to guard and Volson play center. So we like the depth we have there. We're getting a little more thin at the running back spot, especially with all the things we asked Chase to do. And so it'd be nice to get somebody back, whether it's Bruce, Damaris, even Brock Robbins, because then you could make Chase a little bit more of just a tailback or something, or just a fullback. But that's not where we're at in the season, and we just got to keep playing the guys we have, and hopefully we'll get a guy back here and there. But I don't know if that's this week or not.
How tough was this, Chris? I mean, when you looked at it on the schedule, playing back-to-back night games on the road, both kind of tough travel, how much of a challenge was that for you guys to put the team through that?
Well, when I saw it on the schedule, I didn't like it. I don't mind the back-to-back road games. You always should have those. But playing back-to-back at 6 o'clock, especially with the travel, having to drive almost 2 hours to fly out of Western, and then we were back at 2 o'clock or 2:15 or something this past Saturday. So it wears on you. There's no question. It'd be easier to play at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock and be home at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. It probably wears on the coaches more than it does the players. Because of our hours, they're resilient. They just say it's what we do. We have to go. And but this week is where in the past we've cut down on the amount of time we're out on the field. And once November 1st hits, we cut at least 15, sometimes 20 minutes out of the wear and tear of a practice. Maybe add it to a walkthrough because now it's a lot more mental for the guys that have played a lot of snaps. And then we still have some of those young players that we're still trying to progress forward. Maybe it's little Zach or somebody else that they need more of the physical reps. So maybe Landon will take a few more plays off Jack, some of those guys, because as you get late in the season, everybody's down bodies right now. And so you have to, bottom line, you have to make sure they're as fresh and as fast as they can on Saturday with knowing what they're doing. And that's the balancing act with walkthroughs.
You talk with the guys about expectations, because it's obviously going to be high when you win 5 titles. They're going to be through the roof, but you're 7-1, and if the playoffs started today, you'd be the #1 playoff seed presumably. And yet people are asking you, why aren't you winning by more? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that?
Yeah, we talk a lot. I talked to more of the older guys about it. I was disappointed. Would be one thing, and disappointed in myself after the Western Illinois game, simply because when you watch that film, and I showed it to the captains and some of our older guys, we had a couple of really critical interceptions, and the film of the Western Illinois game was more of a relief on our sideline, and not the excitement, not the celebration, and showing it to those guys. They're like, wow, coach, that we didn't realize it was like that. And I think part of that is the high expectations, and we tell our guys all the time, especially younger guys, don't ever play not to lose, play to win, and don't be afraid to fail, don't be afraid to make a mistake. We're going to make mistakes. And so that was a big emphasis last week of, whether it's cutting it loose and playing, which is maybe a simple thing, but even make it easier, have more fun doing it. Guys, we only had last week 4 guaranteed games left, and you could notice a huge difference on our sideline this past Saturday. But I can date it all the way back to the week. Our guys had more fun at practice. It's still a grind. We're still going to get on them at practice and so forth. But on our sideline, when somebody's making an interception, we're holding people back from running out on the field on Saturday, as opposed to against Western Illinois, where it was, dodge another bullet. And that's part of expectations, I know.
So too early to start scoreboard watching? 3 weeks to go, see what everybody else is doing?
I still do, Don, believe it is that way. We always talk, is it 8-0, 7-1, 6-2, 5-3? Who knows what it is to win the Valley? But all our biggest games are in front of us, and it's interesting because I don't know if anybody thought the Western Illinois win was going to be as big as it was. And they go to South Dakota and win, and we look at the games once they've already passed and say, boy, that was a heck of a win to go to Western Illinois at 6 o'clock at night and win that game, and they're 6-2 or something, and then go to Northern Iowa, and is that the only under 500 team we've played? Now, nobody would have ever thought that's the team that you're going to play that's under 500, and what a huge game that was. And now we're talking, you know what, guys, the games just get bigger. Doesn't matter, each week as you end October and you get into November, the games just get bigger.
Scoreboard watching for Wyoming and Boise State?
I sent a text out to Coach Standard. Really happy for those guys out there. It was a big win. I didn't obviously see any highlights or anything like that. I just saw the score and shot Steve a text, and he knew how big it was for me to go back there and be able to get the win against UNI. So he and I exchanged texts, you bet.
You mentioned it's a grind, and there's a lot going into this. You guys get the alternate helmets this week. Does that help to
absolutely
mentally?
Little things like that, I sure as heck does. And so we'll wear the green helmets, and we haven't worn them yet this year. We haven't had an option, and now we're excited about any little edge like that. It'll be fun for our guys.
Can be curious about the rankings that are released Thursday with the committee.
Talk to me about that. I didn't know this was even going on. Well, then why'd you ask me? I really don't. I don't know anything about it. Similar to what they do for the FBS, huh? Huh. When do they do that? Today? Tomorrow? Thursday. Oh, Thursday? Oh, shoot. I never even thought about it. Okay.
With Klieman? You ever talk to him yet?
Other than last year, after the game, before the game, I talked to him. I enjoyed him. I know how competitive he is, but I don't know him at all, other than what I met him last year. But I know this: he knows football. They're both offensively and defensively. They're very sound. They're well coached. They play hard, and he's doing a great job there.
You expect that have a little more fun attitude to continue?
It needs to, Jeff. That's a good point. That's something we're going to talk about with our guys tonight. Is it needs to continue to be that way, because how many seniors we have. We're down one now with Nick, but we're about 9 or 10 guys. For a good chunk of those, this is their last chance they're going to play football. Hopefully several of them get an opportunity to get into camps or get on an NFL club. There's some guys that this is their last chance, and they need to enjoy it. This is the best time of their life, and they need to enjoy it with their brothers out there playing, and that's something we are definitely going to emphasize. Now, I told them that doesn't mean Polisek's not going to yell at you, or Riley or Kane, the guys that really get after guys, but we're doing it to try to make you better. But bottom line, we just got to enjoy the game.